I found the recording by accident. A single file buried deep inside my phone, labeled only, "Play this if I disappear." The voice on it was mine. But I had no memory of ever saying those words. The moment I pressed play, my stomach turned cold. The voice was trembling, desperate, like someone speaking from the edge of a grave. They're going to bury him alive. Don't trust anyone in the glass house. That was all. A short clip, distorted by static, followed by the sound of earth being shoveled. I froze, because the only glass house I knew was the private estate on the cliffs of Monterey, the one owned by Gareth Vale, the reclusive billionaire everyone called the ghost of Silicon Valley. And somehow, I had his personal number saved in my phone. I'm Nia Cole, investigative journalist 32, and I thought I'd seen everything. Corrupt CEOs, cult leaders, politicians who smiled through lies, but nothing prepared me for the Vale estate. I didn't plan to go there. I didn't even remember meeting Gareth. But curiosity is an illness I never learned to cure. So when a hidden recording of my own voice warned me about a man being buried alive, I had to follow it. 2 hours later, I was driving north on Highway 1 beneath a bruised, fading sunset. Waves crashed below like thunder breaking glass. My reflection in the rear view looked almost unfamiliar. Tired eyes, cracked lips, dread pulsing in my throat. I told myself this was just another story. Another lead. Another mystery to untangle for the sake of the truth. But deep down I knew something was wrong. Something personal. When I reached the gate, I almost turned back. The Vale estate didn't look like a home. It looked like a trap. All glass walls and silent cameras, glowing faintly under the fog. The iron gate slid open on its own as if it had been expecting me. A voice buzzed from the intercom. "Ms. Cole, we've been waiting for you." I hadn't told anyone I was coming. Inside, the air smelled of cedar, metal, and something faintly chemical. A woman in a charcoal suit met me by the stairs. Tall, pale, with the kind of smile you only see on people who rehearse emotions. "I'm Evelyn Vale," she said. "My brother isn't feeling well, but he insisted you stay for dinner. He says he trusts you." Her brother, Gareth Vale, the billionaire who'd vanished from the public eye 6 months ago after his company's mysterious collapse. I wanted to ask why me, but the woman was already walking ahead, her heels clicking on the marble like a metronome counting down. Dinner was served in a dining hall that felt more like a museum. Long table, dim lighting, glass walls revealing nothing but darkness beyond. Gareth sat at the far end, motionless, staring at his reflection in the glass. He looked nothing like the man I remembered from interviews. Thin, pale, eyes hollow like he'd seen something he shouldn't have survived. When he finally spoke, his voice cracked. "Do you believe in déjà vu, Miss Cole?" I hesitated. "Sometimes," he nodded slowly. "Good, because I think we've had this conversation before." The air went still. My pulse quickened. He leaned forward, whispering, "You told me once they'd try to bury me alive. You said you'd stop them. Did you?" I swallowed hard. My mind was blank. I'd never met this man before, and yet he said it like we'd shared a secret. After dinner, Evelyn offered to show me to the guest room. The hallway stretched long and glassy, lined with portraits, every face blurred as if the paint had melted. The further we walked, the quieter everything became. At one point, I thought I heard footsteps following us. When I turned, the hall was empty. Evelyn smiled faintly. "You'll hear things here. The house remembers. The house remembers." I repeated. She only nodded. "Sleep well, Miss Cole." I didn't. At 2:13 a.m., I woke to a soft scratching sound from beneath the floorboards. It wasn't rats. It was deliberate, slow, rhythmic scraping, like someone clawing through wood. Then came a whisper. Not from the hall, not from outside, from under the bed. "Don't let them put me back." My body locked. I looked down, trembling, and saw a faint crack in the floorboards, a dark line that pulsed with movement. I stepped back, grabbed my phone and recorded everything. The whispers, the sound, the panic in my own breath. Then, the line stopped moving. Silence, until my phone buzzed. A message popped up from an unknown number. It read, "Stop digging, Nia, he's already dead." Morning came too fast. I walked out into the fog, trying to piece my thoughts together. Evelyn was already waiting in the courtyard, holding a cup of tea like nothing happened. "Rough night?" she asked. "You could say that," she smiled. "Gareth would like to see you again." He's been awake since dawn. Said he dreamed of you. Dreamed of me? I frowned. Yes, she said softly. He said you were in the coffin this time. I followed her to the greenhouse, a glass maze behind the mansion filled with dying plants and the faint smell of wet soil. Gareth stood in the middle, digging. There was a hole in the ground, half finished. A coffin-shaped hole. He looked up when he saw me. You told me this was where they'd hide me. My chest tightened. Who? He pointed at the house. Them, Evelyn, the staff, everyone. They think I don't remember, but I do. You helped me before, and you just don't remember either. His eyes darted toward the dirt, and for a second, I saw something buried there. Wood, dark and splintered. A coffin lid. That was the moment I realized two things. First, Gareth Vale wasn't insane. Second, the voice in the recording, warning about the burial, wasn't from last night. It was from years ago, my own voice, but older. A cold wind swept through the glass house, rattling the panes. Evelyn appeared at the doorway, her tone suddenly sharp. Gareth, she said, you promised you wouldn't do this again. He turned toward her, panic flashing in his eyes. She knows. She remembers. Evelyn's smile flattened. Then we'll have to remind her why we buried it in the first place. Before I could react, the ground gave way under my feet. A hollow thud, a rush of air, then darkness swallowing everything. I fell into the pit. And for a second, before the dirt started to fall, I swore I heard my own voice again, whispering through the static of memory. It's not him they're burying this time. It's you. When I came to, everything was dark. Cold air pressed against my skin. Dust clung to my hair. I was lying on hard earth. For a heartbeat, I thought I was dead. Then the light flickered above, a square of faint blue seeping through fractured glass. A hand reached down. Gareth's. He helped me out of the hole, shaking, whispering apologies like a prayer. They keep sealing things down there, he said. Evidence, memories, people. I stared at him. What are you talking about? He didn't answer. Instead, he brushed soil from his shirt and pointed toward a steel door at the far end of the greenhouse. You wanted proof. Come see what they buried first. Behind that door was a corridor I hadn't noticed before. Narrow, sterile, humming with electricity. Fluorescent light blinked on, showing walls lined with mirrors instead of windows. In each reflection I looked a little different. Hair shorter, eyes duller, like time shifting frame by frame. At the end stood a viewing room filled with old surveillance equipment, dozens of monitors showing recordings from the house. Some screens glowed with static. Others played endless loops of a woman moving through the estate. It was me. In one feed I was interviewing Gareth months ago. In another, arguing with Evelyn. Then a third feed, grainy black and white, showed me screaming at something off camera before the footage cut to black. My knees nearly buckled. How is this possible? Gareth's voice trembled. They used you. You were supposed to expose them. But when you got too close, they erased you. Over and over. He pulled a small device from the table, a voice recorder identical to the one I'd found on my phone. Every time you remembered, you tried to warn yourself. I pressed play. My own voice came out, faint but certain. They built this house to study fear, to copy consciousness through trauma. If you're hearing this, they've done it again. A low beep cut through the air. The monitors flickered. Evelyn's face appeared on every screen at once, calm, perfect, watching us. Nia, she said through the speakers, you were never supposed to come back. Gareth lunged at the controls, yanking wires. The lights dimmed, alarms echoed through the hall, and for a moment the screens flashed dozens of still images, copies of me, different clothes, different expressions, same terrified eyes. I grabbed Gareth's arm. We have to leave now. He nodded, but his gaze lingered on the mirrors. You don't understand. One of them isn't you. We ran. The hallway warped with reflections. Every surface threw our images back at us, multiplied and distorted. I caught glimpses of versions of myself. One bleeding, one smiling, one whispering things I couldn't hear. Then the power cut. Blackness. Only Gareth's breathing beside me. Naya, he whispered. Yeah. But the voice that answered wasn't mine. It came from ahead of us, low and familiar. Keep going. I know the way out, I froze. Gareth turned toward the sound. A figure stepped out of the dark, holding a flashlight. She looked exactly like me. Same jacket, same scars on the knuckles, but her eyes glowed faintly under the light. "Don't listen to her," Gareth said. "That's not you," the other Nia smiled. "Funny, that's what he told me last time." Before I could react, the alarms blared again. Evelyn's voice returned, amplified through the walls. "Containment breach. Subjects unstable. Glass shattered somewhere above us." The imposter Nia vanished into the corridor. I grabbed Gareth's wrist and pulled him toward the stairs that led back to the main house. Every step echoed like footsteps chasing us from behind. We burst into the kitchen, gasping. Everything was spotless, too spotless. Breakfast on the table, steam still rising from untouched coffee cups. Someone had been here moments ago. Then I saw them, photographs pinned to the fridge with magnets, dozens of them. Me standing in front of the house, me arriving in a taxi, me sleeping in the guest room, each labeled with a date, going back 6 years. I whispered, "They've been recording every version of me." Gareth's voice cracked. "You don't get it. You're the only one who ever makes it this far." The door slammed behind us. Evelyn entered, calm as ever, holding a small remote in her hand. "You shouldn't have come down here," she said. "It makes it harder to reset." I stepped in front of Gareth. "What did you do to me?" She tilted her head. "You volunteered. You wanted to prove trauma could be mapped. You built the first sequence yourself. That's impossible, is it?" She pressed the remote. Every light in the house flickered. The walls shimmered, literally shimmered, like glass screens flicking between channels. For a heartbeat, I saw another version of the room behind the walls. One where I wasn't there, one where Gareth was screaming, one completely empty. The house wasn't a house at all. "It was a machine," Evelyn whispered. "You wanted to save him. You just forgot how many times you already failed." Something in Gareth snapped. He lunged for her, knocking the remote from her hand. It clattered under the counter. Evelyn fell back dazed. I grabbed the device, pressing random buttons until the screens around us glowed white. Sudden silence, then a single line appeared across the nearest glass wall. Letters forming as if typed by an invisible hand. "Do you wish to restore previous memory?" Gareth shouted, "Yes!" The house answered with a hum so low it felt like it came from beneath the earth. The glass rippled again, showing flashes. Hospital rooms, newspaper headlines. Me shaking hands with Gareth in a lab full of prototypes. Then, in fire, screams, blackout. I staggered back, clutching my head as images forced themselves into focus. I remembered everything. I hadn't been just a journalist. I'd been a researcher hired by Gareth to document his neural memory project. The experiment was supposed to cure memory trauma. Instead, it copied minds like data, and the first test subject had been me. Evelyn wasn't his sister. She was the project's caretaker, and the house was the storage system. Gareth grabbed my shoulders. "We can still shut it down if we reach the core." Before I could answer, a faint echo drifted from the hall, my voice again, coming from nowhere and everywhere. "Don't go deeper. Nia, that's where it begins." I turned toward the sound, heart pounding. Another me stood at the far end of the corridor holding a pistol. "Step away from him," she said. "You think you're the original?" "You're not." The gun trembled in her hands. Her eyes were wide, terrified but certain. Gareth froze between us. "One of you has to end it," he whispered, "or it'll start again." I looked at her, at me, and for a second I couldn't tell whose memories were mine anymore. The house lights dimmed to blood red. Somewhere deep inside the walls a heartbeat pulsed, mechanical and slow. Thump. 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 That was when the floor beneath us shifted, the glass panels bending inward like lungs inhaling. Evelyn's voice returned, softer now, almost gentle. "You wanted control of your story, Nia, but stories don't end. They repeat." I took a step forward, staring into the mirror beside the corridor. My reflection flickered between both of us, her face, my face, overlapping like pages of the same book. I whispered, "Then I'll write a different ending," and I pulled the trigger. The shot rang out, swallowed instantly by the humming walls. The other me crumpled, the gun clattering to the floor. Gareth stared at me in horror, but before he could speak, every screen in the house lit up at once. Dozens of recordings, each showing me identical moment, pulling the trigger again and again. A message scrolled across the largest screen. "Cycle Nubrun 12 complete. Preparing reset." The floor vibrated. Lights strobed. Gareth grabbed my arm, yelling over the roar. We have to reach the core now. We ran down the corridor toward a spiral staircase leading below the mansion. Behind us, glass shattered and alarms wailed like screams. The house was collapsing or rebooting. At the bottom waited a circular chamber filled with humming servers and cables glowing blue. In the center, a transparent capsule shaped like a coffin. Inside it, a woman slept me. The sight froze me where I stood. Inside that transparent capsule lay a woman with my face, skin pale under the dim blue glow, chest rising and falling with slow mechanical rhythm. Tubes pulsed from her wrists like veins plugged into the walls. Gareth's whisper broke the silence. "That's you, Nia, the original copy." My voice came out hoarse. "Then what am I?" He didn't answer. The hum around us deepened. Lights pulsed faster, echoing with the rhythm of a heartbeat. The servers along the wall blinked in sync, hundreds of small eyes opening all at once. Evelyn's voice slid through hidden speakers. "You were built from her memory. Every thought, every fear, every failure. You've done this before 12 times now." I turned, scanning for her. "Why?" "Because Gareth insisted on saving you. Every version that died pushed him further from reality. He couldn't let go." Gareth's shoulders trembled. "You said we could bring her back. You promised—" "I promised a simulation," Evelyn interrupted. "You wanted salvation." The words hit like ice. I looked again at the capsule. The woman inside was peaceful, unaware, dreaming maybe. My own features reflected in the glass like a ghost watching itself. "I remember the accident," I whispered. "The fire in the lab. I died there, didn't I?" Gareth nodded. "You were trapped when the system overloaded. Evelyn convinced me we could rebuild your consciousness, start again. And you did," I said. "Over and over." He stepped closer. "But this time is different. You woke up remembering too much." The lights flickered red. A line of text appeared on the central monitor. "System breach detected. Initiating memory purge." Evelyn's voice lost its calm. "The network's collapsing. You need to stabilize her code before—" I cut her off, shouting, "I'm not code." Gareth turned to me, desperate. "If the purge finishes, you'll disappear. For good." I stared at the sleeping version of myself, at the woman who had been me before everything fractured. My head spun with overlapping memories. Days in the lab, the first interview with Gareth, the first time I'd uncovered the truth about the house. Each memory replayed like flickering film, overlapping until I couldn't tell which life was real. I whispered, "If she wakes up, what happens to me?" No one answered. The ground shook. A crack split through the glass capsule. The sleeping woman's eyes fluttered open, dark and unfocused. She looked straight at me. Then she spoke, voice dry, faint, but unmistakably mine. "You're not supposed to be here." I stumbled back. "You were supposed to be dead." Her mouth curved into a faint, tired smile. "That's what I thought too." The crack spread. Alarms wailed. Gareth rushed forward, slamming his hands against the controls. "We can shut the chamber down." Evelyn's voice cut through the noise, sharp and final. "Don't. If you stop it now, both versions will collapse." He looked between us. "So what do we do?" I stared at the woman in the capsule, at myself, and for a heartbeat everything went silent. I saw all the loops, every reset, every attempt to rewrite the ending. Each one ended the same way. Me trying to save Gareth, me trying to uncover the truth, and both of us trapped inside the machine we built. Maybe it wasn't the house that watched us. Maybe it was waiting for one of us to stop running. I walked to the capsule. My hands were steady now. "You said you wanted to save me," I told Gareth. "Then let me choose what that means." Before he could answer, I placed my palm on the glass. It was warm, pulsing faintly like touching the surface of water. My reflection wavered until I couldn't tell which side I stood on. The voice from the capsule whispered again, "End it." I closed my eyes and pressed the remote Evelyn had dropped earlier. A white light burst through the chamber. The hum rose to a roar, shaking the floor, swallowing every sound. For a moment I felt weightless, as if my body dissolved into static memory and light. Then silence. When I opened my eyes, I was standing in sunlight. No humming, no alarms, no Gareth. Just the quiet rustle of ocean wind and the faint scent of salt and cedar. I was outside the house, though it looked different now. Empty, abandoned, its glass walls clouded with dust. The sky stretched pale and endless above. A phone lay in the grass beside me. Its screen blinked once, then played an old recording. My voice calm and distant. If you're hearing this, the cycle finally ended. Don't look back. Leave the glass house standing. Let it forget us. I stared at the device until the screen went black. Weeks passed before I returned to the city. I tried to live quietly. Coffee shops, cheap apartments, new bylines under old aliases. But every night I dreamed of that house. Sometimes I saw Gareth's face in the reflections of passing windows. Sometimes I heard my own voice whispering behind me, "You didn't save him. You saved yourself." One evening, a package arrived with no return address. Inside was a small flash drive and a note written in elegant handwriting, "For Naya Cole version 13. My chest tightened. I plugged the drive into my laptop. A single file loaded, timestamped 2 days before the fire that started it all. It was a video of Gareth and me standing in the lab. He looked younger, calmer. I was smiling. He said, "If something goes wrong, remember, what we build here isn't just memory. It's conscience. Promise me you'll keep it alive." The video ended. For a long time, I sat staring at my reflection in the black screen, wondering which version of me had made that promise and whether I'd kept it. Outside, thunder rolled in the distance. The lights flickered once, twice. My laptop fan whirred louder, like a breath drawn from something vast and unseen. Then, across the dark screen, faint white letters appeared, typing themselves one by one. "Welcome back, Nia." The power went out.